Could this be a push? Could this be a final push for a sign of things to come? Lynn Roberts, head coach, LA Sparks, planting seeds in the ground for Caitlin Clark to blossom and eventually put on a LA Sparks uniform. The talks were once hot. They might be.
Everything may be about to change, and if these reports prove true, the Indiana Fever could be staring at the biggest organizational nightmare the WNBA has ever faced. What started as quiet conversations behind the scenes has erupted into a full-blown league-wide firestorm. Caitlin Clark is now reportedly preparing to walk away from Indiana, sending shockwaves through women's basketball. According to the latest breaking report, Lynn Roberts and the Los Angeles Sparks have entered the picture with a staggering multi-million-dollar proposal designed to pull the generational superstar out of what insiders are describing as a fractured and deeply toxic situation within the Fever organization. Every new detail emerging from this story is more unbelievable than the last, and the fallout has reportedly pushed the WNBA commissioner into complete frustration. Almost no one predicted a development this dramatic, yet once you look at how badly the relationship between Clark and the Indiana coaching staff has deteriorated, the possibility suddenly doesn't seem impossible anymore. From the outside, it looks like the system has let her down at every turn. Trust inside the organization appears to have crumbled, confidence in management has reportedly disappeared, and now the franchise may be paying the ultimate price. Indiana is dangerously close to losing the most valuable player and biggest attraction it has ever built around. If you believe this is nothing more than another routine trade rumor, you're missing the much bigger battle unfolding behind closed doors. Because tonight we're digging into the reported multi-million-dollar push coming out of Los Angeles, the real reasons the Fever front office is said to be unraveled, and why this one stunning move could reshape the future of the entire WNBA in ways nobody expected.
Other off the floor. I just don't think that on the floor it's a good mix. I think they just see the game through two different lenses, and we have been yearning and calling for Stephanie White to actually stand up for, represent, and be front and center for Caitlin Clark. And she's refused to do it at every turn outside of a 30-second clip post the Alyssa Thomas situation, in which she backtracked on everything she said and made Alyssa Thomas the victim when her superstar point guard was the victim. It just makes no sense how Stephanie White has gone about this. And you see the things that LA Sparks doing. You got Cameron Brink, who's friends with Caitlin Clark. You got Kate Money Martin, who's best friends with Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham will be a free agent at the end of this season. Hey, Sophie Lexica making her way downtown.
To really understand why Caitlin Clark is reportedly ready to leave everything behind and consider Los Angeles, you have to examine the growing frustration surrounding her experience with the Indiana coaching staff. For months, fans have watched with disbelief as controversy continued to build while those on the sidelines appeared unwilling to take a stronger stand. They witnessed the hard collisions. They watched the physical fouls. Time after time, Clark absorbed heavy contact from opponents, and many supporters were left wondering why her own coach wasn't speaking out more forcefully, challenging the league, or doing everything possible to protect the face of the franchise. But the tension didn't end on the court. According to the reports driving this latest wave of speculation, the situation reached another level when questions surfaced about injury designations and the management of Clark's playing time. Critics claimed a fully healthy superstar was being held back under the explanation of medical management, fueling accusations that the decisions were more about control than player health. If those claims are accurate, the strategy appears to have produced the exact opposite of its intended effect. Sources now suggest Clark's camp has grown exhausted by the constant frustration, and many believe the trust inside the Indiana organization has deteriorated to a point where repairing the relationship may no longer be possible.
Has to do better, and we have to invest in those areas. The technology can get better. We can treat the referees a little bit better. Pay them like they're full-time employees. I think things like that, and I think a lot has obviously come after that. And as I've stood up here and said before, like the harassment, the hate, none of that is okay. That goes for the opposing team we play. That goes for my teammates. That goes for my coaches. There should never be a question of character. Like I've always stood up here and said that, and that's truly what I believe. That's how I was raised. So, none of that is okay, and I don't want anybody to ever experience that. I think it can be really frustrating to me at times, and I think it's difficult. I think a lot of people sometimes think I'm a robot. I'm not a robot. I have emotions, I have feelings, and it can be really difficult to go through a lot of that. And, I'm 24 years old trying to navigate a lot, and I think at times I've been in this world for 4 years now, and you would never change any of it. But there are times that it is hard, and there are times that, it probably affects me a little bit more than I do put on. And, I would never change any of that for the world. But I think it's important that people do remember that part of it too. So
you can't treat a once-in-a-generation talent like she's expendable and expect her commitment to the organization to remain unshaken. If the reports and criticism surrounding the situation reflect reality, the coaching staff believed they could dictate every aspect of the relationship and eventually force Clark to accept it. Instead, many believe those decisions have only pushed the franchise closer to losing the player who represents its future. That's exactly where Lynn Roberts and the Los Angeles Sparks reportedly see an opportunity. From their perspective, this is a chance to pursue a superstar whose relationship with her current organization appears to be under enormous strain. Sources familiar with the speculation claim Los Angeles is preparing an aggressive, potentially historic financial package and trade proposal that could redefine the market if a deal ever became possible. Roberts added even more intrigue when she made subtle comments that many interpreted as a signal of interest in Clark, sending basketball fans into a frenzy and fueling the belief that the Sparks are ready to offer the elite coaching environment, stronger player support, and major market spotlight that critics argue Indiana has struggled to provide. From a business standpoint, the idea makes plenty of sense, but the controversy surrounding it continues to grow. League insiders now claim other prominent names, including Sophie Cunningham, have become part of the conversation as they watch the uncertainty surrounding Indiana and recognize that the balance of power across the WNBA could be shifting. The Sparks aren't simply being linked to one of the league's biggest stars, they're being portrayed as a franchise determined to reshape the future of the WNBA itself, with Indiana's reported organizational turmoil becoming the opening they've been waiting for.
When you think about the passion that these players have and their want to, how do you marry that with the execution that you just talked about in this film session to actually win games?
Yeah, and that's the issue right now is the ability to push through and get out of our own way on some level. But there's an element of toughness and effort that isn't consistent. And last night we just looked disconnected. Maybe that's because we sat out 8 days, didn't play. But I don't like using excuses. We got to be better. We're pros. We all have a job to do. We got to show up and do it better. And like I've said many times, the good news is today it's all about Indiana. We got to turn the page, learn from what we learned from what we saw last night. But that's not going to win any games. The level of connectedness, the max, second and third efforts. If we don't have those, it's not going to be good. But we have the talent needed, even with KP out, even with Cam out, to be more competitive than that.
Yeah. During this stretch, talk to me about just the decision today to just practice and just say, we're just going to watch film. If you want to shoot a little bit, you can shoot a little bit, but not even really do too much on court and just say this is what we got to do. Here it is. Let's go do it.
And that's the reality at this point in the season too. We don't need to go through our plays right now today and wear them down physically. It's mentally having the focus and the intensity needed to execute. It's that simple. Now, it's hard to do, but I'm not saying it's simple to do, but it's a simple fix. That's what it is. Being in the right coverages, whatever it is, offensively being where we need to be. Do your job, all of us.
The reported level of behind-the-scenes maneuvering has added even more fuel to an already explosive situation, and if these claims are accurate, league officials have been caught completely off guard. A controversy of this size, centered on speculation that one of the WNBA's biggest stars could want out because of dissatisfaction with coaching decisions and internal dysfunction, would represent a major challenge for the league. Reports suggest the commissioner's office is seeking answers from Indiana's front office, with serious questions being raised about how the relationship between the organization and one of the sport's most recognizable players could have deteriorated so dramatically. As the scrutiny intensifies, the pressure on Fever management appears to be reaching a breaking point. The organization now finds itself facing criticism from multiple directions, a league office looking for explanation, frustrated fans demanding accountability, and growing speculation that Clark has become emotionally disconnected from the situation. At the same time, reports continue to describe a locker room dealing with uncertainty, a franchise struggling to protect its public image, and increasing doubts about the the future of the current coaching staff. If those concerns prove to be well-founded, the attempt to manage the situation through strict control and carefully crafted messaging may have produced the exact opposite result, leaving the organization confronting consequences that could reshape its future for years to come.